Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
It was 75 years ago that sports car lovers first took to the streets of this sleepy little lakeside village in upstate New York and held a Grand Prix to determine which drivers in their cars would reign supreme. With a layout of over 6.5 miles and spectators cheering away from the sidewalks just inches away, it didn't take long before the need for safety, not only for the drivers but for those spectators as well, where it led to the construction of a purpose-built facility in 1956. In addition to being the very first permanent site of the United States Formula One Grand Prix, tonight's venue has also played host to Can-Am, Trans Am, IndyCar, IMSA, and of course NASCAR. Hi everybody, and welcome to Watkins Glen International and season number 9 of the Esports Racing League, presented by Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Spec Racer Sports, Common Gear, and Grass Paddock Motorsports here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and sitting in for Jack Ritchie tonight, who's a little bit under the weather. In the commentary booth is our Season 8 champion in multiple classes, Morgan Burkhardt, with Lee Thompson in the virtual production trailer, bringing you all the great views of tonight's action. And for those of you joining us for the very first time, we've got 4 different classes in the Esports Racing League. We've got the Spec Racer Fords and the Spec Miatas, as well as 2 touring classes featuring the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup car in one of those classes and the Toyota GR86 Cup car in the other. And each class will race 6 times over the course of our 9-week season. And so it's week number 4, and we've got 2 20-minute sprint races on tap for you. First up will be the 2 touring car classes sharing the track at the same time, followed by the Spec Racer Fords. And, you know, if you're jonesing for some hairdresser car Spec Miata action, rest assured they'll be joining us next week when we head to Morgan's real-life home track, Summit Point Raceway. So welcome to the commentary booth, Morgan. You know, it's great to have you, and I'm sure that it's a relief to some of your competitors to have you here in the booth with me, perhaps rather than out on the track competing against them.
Well, I mean, I would hope so. It's a hell of a compliment for sure. But yeah, no, this track it's a wonderful facility. I remember the first time I was aware that Watkins Glen existed I was 6 or 7 watching the film Grand Prix for the first time, and the scene where they went to Watkins Glen. It's a wonderful track. It's a bucket list for pretty much everybody who lives in the States and a lot of people outside of the States. The drafting here is incredible as well. So it's going to put on a really good show for us tonight.
It definitely is. And so Morgan, at this point in the show, what I would normally be doing is I'd be turning things over to Morgan Burkhardt for tonight's track guide of Watkins Glen International. Well, I've got you here with us now, but I'm going to turn things over to last night's Morgan Burkhardt when Morgan did a sample lap here of beautiful 3.4 mile, 11 turn Watkins Glen International.
Hello, my name is Morgan Burkhardt for Delta Sport US, and welcome to New York's 3.5 mile, 12 corner Watkins Glen International, the home of the big blue bushes coming down the front straight into a downhill braking zone. It's really, really important to get a good run as it's very steep uphill through the S's and down all the way to the bus stop. If you can get a good run out of here, you're going to be pretty well sorted, either defending or attacking into the bus stop. Flat out up through the S's, very, very steep uphill. It's important to get a good run out of turn one, like I said, and then kind of just straight line it, take the shortest distance that you can all the way up the hill. And it is uphill all the way to the bus stop. So the draft is very powerful, and then through the bus stop, it's a huge send, using the curbs to your advantage, just clattering them all, jumping them all over them into the outer loop. You have to balance the car all the way through, using the curb a little bit to rotate it. You can use a lot of the road on exit, and it kind of catches you. It's a little bit cambered, so you can go pretty fast. As well as this corner entering the boot, also cambered. The track kind of comes right back at you on the exit. This big blue wall just kind of appears. It's a little bit frightening. And down the hill into the toe of the boot, another cambered corner. You can really carry a lot of speed. Again, uphill, you can use that to your advantage. It slows the car down a little bit, actually. You can go in pretty deep. And then climbing the hill down to the heel of the boot. That's another good passing zone. You can really get a move done. It's as difficult as you come out of the boot with the off-camber hairpin. And then coming through the heel of the boot, gray is okay on the exit of this corner. There's not really any track limits. And then this corner, it's a devil of a corner. Off-camber, very difficult to keep the rear end under the car. And then the blue bushes, again, they kind of just show up. And coming back on turn 11, it's a little bit of a lift. Using all the track gray is okay over there as well. The final corner, very important to get a good run onto the front straight and to start your next lap. The blue bush, again, just shows up. And at this track, there's not a whole lot of runoff room, but there's a big draft, so it's very difficult. So that is a lap of Watkins Glen International.
And thank you so much to past tense Morgan Burkhardt for tonight's track guide of Watkins Glen International. So let's bring back in present tense Morgan Burkhardt. As you were saying here, the draft is, of course, of extreme importance here. And with these cars tonight, whether it be the Jettas, whether it be the GR86 Cup cars, whether it be the Spec Racer Fords that we're going to see a little bit later tonight, which are also momentum cars. I mean, it's really a question of being able to carry as much speed as possible, stay out of the brakes as long as possible, or as much as possible, and and use the profile of the track. You've got a lot of corners that are very heavily cambered that really promote speed, in order to get that ultimate lap in qualifying, right, Morgan?
Exactly. The key to this track I've found is to just use every ounce of track that there is, even if that means a little bit of grass as well. But you have to be aggressive with the track limits. You have to be willing to sometimes take incident points. It's all these corners are minus coming back onto the NASCAR Cup course. That corner, everything about it works against you. But all the other corners, they're cambered. Like you said, they're cambered. They want you to go fast through them.
And that's right. So the corner that Morgan was just talking about, we just saw Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 GR86 Cup car come through there, turn 9, which sticks out from the rest in that it's off camber. It also really has a very blind entry into it, and you just kind of find yourself waiting to turn in there, and it's very difficult. Like so many places around this track, if you get it wrong. I think in your video, Morgan, you referred to them as the blue bushes, that Armco, that light blue Armco that rings this track so close to the track surface, really can reach out and grab you and bite you. All right, so we've got our drivers out for qualifying, and Morgan, we've only got about a minute left in qualifying here. Let's quickly take a look here where Miles Crabb is your leader currently in the T3 or the Toyota GR86 Cup cars, with John Wilson currently running second, and only 200ths of a second. Well, it was 200ths of a second separating them, as best I could tell. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a minute, a minute and 200ths. Did I say a minute?
A second.
Yeah, there we go.
It's one of those times.
That's right. Yeah, but not a minute. That would be amazing. But a second and 2/10 separating them. And in the Toyota, pardon me, in the Volkswagen TDI Cup cars, currently Jamison Huffman, your provisional pole sitter, with a qualifying time of 2:10.61, and Megan Overstreet at a 2:11.28 is qualifying, getting close to coming to an end here. Real quick, let's do this. Let's quickly run down our current point standings in both of these classes, where both of these classes have had 2 races so far this season. This will make the 3rd of 6, and Miles Crabb is currently your points leader, I believe, here in the Toyota GR86 Cup cars. It is Miles Crabb with a total of 46 points. Beans Forster currently at 42, with John Wilson, you can see there, at a distant 33 points, but in pretty close proximity, Caleb Pocock and Wayne Buttermore. All right, let's take a look now over at the Toyota, pardon me, I'm going to get this right eventually tonight, the Volkswagen TDI Cup cars, where, surprise, surprise, Morgan Burkhardt has run the table so far, 2 wins out of 2 races. Looks like this may be his drop for the season. Seth Spolman with 35 points, and very close behind Megan Overstreet, Caleb Patry, who is not here this evening. A little surprised not to see the driver of the 198 car, and Michael Snow rounding out the top 5 of over 20 cars that have already put in qualifying times, or pardon me, that have already received points this season over the previous races.
And the interesting thing that I'm looking at here is probably good for him. Not so good for us, as we lose a little bit of the spectacle. But Benjamin Forster in the 2nd place in T3 will not be joining us tonight, as it's his wife's birthday. So it's probably a very good thing that he is not here tonight. So
we might see some big changes in both classes, both in the Toyotas and in the Volkswagens here, with some of our front runners celebrating monumentous occasions. I think you're one of your very first announcing gigs for Apex Racing TV, and Beans Forster for the wife not kicking him out of the house. All right, so checkered flag is out on qualifying here, Morgan, and so we should have our field here getting ready. They'll be gridding up in just one moment. We had 18 drivers, I think, take to the track. One of them, who's going to be towards the very end of the Volkswagen grid, I guarantee you, he's not turning a wheel tonight, but we'll get there in just a moment, as all our remaining drivers are finishing up on track. And I think while we're waiting, I wanted to, of course, mention one of our sponsors here this evening. We're going to talk a little bit more about them in just a few moments. Grass Paddock Motorsports, offering their Sim to Track program and giveaway for 2 lucky drivers, one for an already competition licensed driver, and then one looking to get a real life competition license, to have arrive and drive packages in Grass Paddock's Mini Coopers, B-Spec Mini Coopers, and a great award for the most deserving, and not necessarily the top driver. Basically, they will be chosen primarily on improvement and participation and sportsmanship as well. And I'm happy to say that I'm one of the folks that is part of the selection committee for that. All right, so we've got our grid lining up here, and let's take a look, as we're going to have our Toyotas heading out on track first. There you go, with your pole sitter, Miles Crabb, with a qualifying time of 2 minutes, 8 seconds, .201. John Wilson, just about, now we're going to say it, 1.02 seconds off of the pole. Is going to start on the outside of the front row.
There you go. It's Brian McRae, 1.2 seconds back, just a little bit off of John Wilson, sitting in the third spot, followed by Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 car in fourth place.
There we go. And Caleb Pocock and Mark Sherman will make up row number 3 for our T3 class, the Toyota GR86 Cup cars.
And your pole sitter in the VW Jetta TDI or T4 cars is Jamison Huffman in the number 89 with a time of a 2:10.613, just over 6/10 clear of second place Megan Overstreet.
All right, Trenton Kramer and Jim Brewster will make up row number 2.
Followed by Reed Shannabrook and Jacob Schilling.
All right, Skip Brock Jr. Will start 7th today on the inside of row number 4. Deacon Greenfield driving the number 36 machine, starting right next to him.
And Michael Snow, the 077 car, and all of these cars, the last 5 cars, all been within a second of each other, so it's going to be something to watch throughout the course of this race.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry.
Nope, Michael Snow is going to be followed by Derek Marcos, just about 4/10 back. But yeah, like you were saying, it's going to be a very close race.
Yeah, incredibly close, with Joaquin Effinger and Josh Justice making up row number 6, starting 11th and 12th, and then don't worry about the guy starting lucky 13th. That's me. All right, so we've got the pace car now getting ready to roll off here as well. We are still waiting for 2 drivers. Looks like Caleb Patry might possibly be starting from the back of the pack, Morgan. I've seen him just check into the server. We'll see how things play out for the driver of the number 198 machine as the pace car now is underway. And as it is, let's talk about our 2 sponsors for tonight's race. We already talked briefly about Grass Paddock Motorsports. Well, let's tell you a little bit more. Grass Paddock Motorsports provides Mini Cooper race car rentals, trackside support, and coaching at tracks all over the eastern half of the United States. GPM provides podium-capable rentals for B-Spec, the fastest-growing class of racing in the SCCA for 3 years running, and it's currently the 4th largest class overall. Grass Paddock has a unique approach where their race cars are located near the track you want to race instead of being in a central location, and that way you get to avoid those large towing fees. So come join us at Grass Paddock Motorsports. We're at Grass Paddock. It's not about our location, but about our attitude. For more information, visit www.grasspaddock.com. And then we've got the Common Gear, and they are your single source for securely digitizing and storing automotive maintenance records. From photos of maintenance or restoration work to scans of receipts, users can easily catalog every piece of their car's story. Digitize or scan and back up securely in one location. Documenting your diagnostic and repair processes is as important as the work itself. And with the Common Gear, you can keep track of the steps you take, the parts and experts you use, all the aspects of your car's history. So don't risk losing value in your investment due to lost or incomplete service and repair records. For more information, visit Common Gear at www.thecommongear.com or on Instagram at @the_Common Gear. As we've got the field now winding their way down the beautiful Watkins Glen International Racecourse, and Morgan, they just came down through the chute, heading down towards the toe of the boot, and you can see there we've got a little bit of a split between our Toyotas that will take the green flag first, and then the Volkswagen Jettas, which will start a little bit further behind. As we've got our pole sitter there, Jamison Huffman, along with Megan Overstreet, winding their way as well as they came through the toe, and they now make their way down that. It's in real life a pretty drastic drop there, there at the sole of the boot into the heel.
Yeah, and like you said, Jamison Huffman leaving about a 9-second gap between the 2 packs, just so that it avoids a lot of the interclass intermingling at the beginning of the start when everybody's getting choked up going through corners. It avoids a lot of the stack up.
All right, as the pace car now brings the Toyotas through turn number 10, and again, a very heavily cambered corner, the penultimate corner, I like using that word, and then on to the front straight. The pace car, once it brings the field through turn 11, it's going to make a very sharp move to the right, onto the pit lane and leave things to Miles Crabb, your pole sitter. There you go. The Porsche now on the pit lane. Miles Crabb, driver of that burgundy and black number 131, your pole sitter, and green flag is in the air as the Jettas now come out of the final corner, already spread out and on their way. Our leaders now in the Toyotas coming down into the 90, into turn number 1. Miles Crabb, your leader. Then we've got John Wilson, Brian McRae sliding behind. In the Jettas, it's Jamison Huffman in that red number 89 machine. Oh, and we've got a driver off, and that is Skip Brock Jr. in the number 68 machine. He's into the wall. Drivers left, and as quickly as his race started, it has finished. It's Huffman, Trenton Kramer, Megan Overstreet, Reed Shannabrook. Your top 4 as Overstreet loses a position as our Toyotas now make the way down that short stretch into the inner loop, into the bus stop chicane. Here at the Glen, we see those Toyotas using every last bit of the curb, soaking them up, as the Jettas will do as well. Side by side going into the chicane, it's Megan Overstreet and Reed Shannabrook in the black number 14 machine. Jacob Schilling in the ghost car, the all-white machine with no numbers directly behind, but already Jamison Huffman and Trenton Kramer jumping out to an early 4-car length advantage.
Went a little bit, and I think their front wheel drive is wonderful. They're both going to save it and continue, not collect anybody else, but Megan Overstreet and Reed Shannabrook making a little bit of contact coming into the boot.
That's right there over at turn number 6, heading down the hill there, and Shannabrook is now going to drop all the way back down into 8th position. There in the Toyotas, a little bit further up, it's Brian McRae and Caleb Pocock side by side as they now make the run out of this corner and on to out of turn 9. That was over at the heel of the boot coming out of turn number 9, and they're going to make the run to 10. And there you go now, taking over 3rd position. That is Brian McRae. Caleb Pocock, who is now sitting 4th, had gotten around Wayne Buttermore on that opening lap. The Jettas still don't have things figured out here as we're side by side now with Jim Brewster in the red 933 and Reed Shannabrook in that black 14 trying to make a bit of a recovery drive.
And this is the interesting
incident point limit, and once you cracked that, you'd end up getting black flag. That has been removed in the last couple of weeks, but there is a 17 incident point limit, and if you crest that, you end up getting DQ'd as Trenton Kramer, I think, just picks up his first going through the inner loop. Is that little mistake there in the bus stop has now given a pretty large advantage to Jamison Huffman as he tries to fight off Michael Snow in that green 077 as they came through the toe of the boot. Megan Overstreet still battling it out with Jacob Schilling in the all-white machine, and then Deacon Greenfield in the black 36 directly behind. This the battle right now for 3rd in the Jettas in the T4 class, and Megan Overstreet hanging strong there, but Schilling a good run out of turn 9, and it looks like Greenfield late on the brakes, that brush of the brakes going into turn 10. He's going to take a position from Overstreet as well, so move Overstreet now back in the 5th.
That's a pretty good move. It's set up through turn 9, and he was able to just carry more momentum as Overstreet was kind of hung out to dry a little bit. Got Freight Train going through, and was losing 2 spots, but she's still in the draft, so it's not over yet. She's probably going to be right back there as we see Buttermore and Mark Sherman side by side coming up through the S's pretty even as they're coming up the straight going into the bus stop. We're going to see who chickens first. It's a huge game of chicken, really, and it looks like Mark Sherman got a good run up the S's, able to slot back in front going into the bus stop.
Now, in the Toyotas here, does it make more sense coming into the bus stop if you were, say, still side by side with the driver coming into turn 5 there? Is it better to be on the inside, driver's right, or is it better to be driver's left when you go through there?
Well, that's a hard question actually. I'm gonna have to think about that one. If you're both even, I would say the outside is going to be a little bit better. If you can stick it around the outside of the first part, you get the inside for the next two, which is you're able to drive a lot less distance, and you're able to use those curbs to rotate the car a little bit, and you're able to carry a little bit more speed. But it all depends on who chickens out on the brakes first.
All right, here is, and obviously here, I think for these two, at least for the Jettas here, I assume you're using the curbs. Not that these curbs are raised all that much, with the exception of at the bus stop, but I assume you're using the curbs as much as you can here to try and get rotation.
Exactly, and especially to the bus stop, you kind of just make it a straight line and open up the wheel as early and as quickly as you can, and just clobber the curbs pretty much. The car, it's so softly sprung when you straight lining curbs, it doesn't really affect it all that much. I say softly sprung, but if you're going through a corner fast enough, it does has a tendency to grip hop.
Right.
But if you're just going straight line over curbs, it kind of just shrugs off and is like, you did what now?
And of course, the challenge with those VWs is getting them to rotate in the first place. So if you can get it straightened out to go through there, probably all the better. Let's take a look now. This is the battle for second in the Toyotas. It's John Wilson and Caleb Pocock. Pocock, who started in 5th in that red and white number 88 machine, all over the back of the 82 car. Much like in the Jettas, Miles Crabb looks like he's opened up a pretty nice advantage there, almost 2 seconds, as Wilson manages to hold off, and there you go, holds off Pocock as they go in almost side by side into the bus stop, with Wilson was the driver's left, Pocock was the driver's right, and for the moment there, the 82 machine holds off that red and white number 88, and that position there now is Pocock takes the position going through turn number 6, heading down the hill into the toe.
That was a brilliant move, deep on the brakes into the toe. Kind of caught John Wilson sleeping a little bit. He opened the door up, and Caleb, brilliant move, deep on the brakes. Kind of threw it up the inside, took it, really clean, but forceful and aggressive. I like that move.
And Brian McRae, who was our fastest driver on the last lap, actually set the fastest overall lap of the session, made up about 6 car lengths as Wilson and Pocock were either side by side or shuffling positions there. So he's definitely in the midst of that fight for second overall. As we jump back over to the Jettas, and we see Schilling in that all-white number 85 machine, and then we've got Shannabrook on his recovery run in the all-black number 14 machine there, the car that we are following at the moment, and then Deacon Greenfield in the car directly behind. Looks like Megan Overstreet has lost another position, dropping her back now to 6th.
And this is a big train. They're still in touch with Jake Schilling, so it's a train 3rd to 8th, it looks like, is just up for grabs. I think it's not going to be over until the end of the race. They have every opportunity of swapping back positions, and I'm going to be watching Reed Shannabrook, because he looks, and he's had the pace the last couple laps. He's been running about a half a second faster than the cars around him. He's been almost but not quite matching our class leader, Jameson Huffman, but he's the one to watch for me right now.
Yeah, indeed, and you can see there's a pretty large gap there from the green 077 of Michael Snow, the trailing car in this group, back to Derek Marcos in the orange 66. Matter of fact, he's just now, well, would have just then entered the frame. But this is where the draft is so strong right now, and you can see Snow coming up the inside and Jim Brewster looking for something looking to do something with that draft.
And it's the thing when the 2 cars in front, like Greenfield goes a little bit wide, keeps it, and as they're going into the outer loop side by side, is Overstreet going to be able to hold it around the outside? it looks like she is. That was brilliant right there.
That was a great move.
It was very difficult to hold the outside there, especially in a pushy front wheel drive car. But it looks like she's going to be able to get the move done. But they've lost about 2 seconds just with that little bit of fighting. Lost 2 seconds to Reed Shanabrook and Jake Schilling, so they're going to have to form up and run to catch back up to those two. And actually, Jake Schilling and Reed Shanabrook have caught up to Trent Kramer, so that is now a 2-3-4 battle, followed by a 5-6-7-8 battle.
That's right. As our leader, Jamison Huffman, now continues to expand on his lead, now with almost a 5-second advantage over Trenton Kramer, Jacob Schilling, and Reed Shanabrook, now all in a row. And as we are just a touch over halfway through this first 20-minute race of the evening, again, our Spec Racer Fords will be up next. And there you go. Great shot. You can see the difference there and the distance between the DC United liveried TDI Cup car of Jamison Huffman and the other drivers a little bit further behind.
Yeah, and Huffman, he has pretty much just checked out of this one. He's been running really consistent, really fast laps. I think I've been looking at his last few, and his last 3 or 4 laps have all been within 2 or 3 tenths of each other. So he's had the virtue of clean air and nobody filling his mirror, so he can go out and pretty much just drive his own line, drive his own race. Whereas Kramer, Schilling, Shanabrook, they've all been either watching Huffman grow a little bit smaller out the windshield and watching other people grow bigger. As we got side-by-side action between Pocock and Wilson through the bus stop, it looks like Brian McRae is going to slot through in there for third, just kind of opened up the door and went through it, and they all continued a little bit of contact.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there. Pocock had a little bit of a challenge getting into the bus stop there. You saw him get a little bit loose, and Brian McRae takes advantage, moves up into the podium paying positions. That number 298 machine, the Virginia Tech car, now running in third. As there we go. At least I think that was Virginia Tech. Maybe that's the Yokohama logo on the side of the door. Never mind.
And she's just made a move on John Wilson. Looks like it went into the toe of the boot. They're coming side by side. Oh nope, not side by side. I am blind. Coming down the sole of the boot. It's a 3-car battle for a second. Very heated, very close, and I think it's not really going to expand with the way that they're fighting. Is Pocock looking to the outside for turn 9, kind of showing the nose, trying to get under the skin of John Wilson a little bit, filling that mirror, making himself big.
Ooh, and a little bit of a wiggle. From Wilson coming out of 9, and that's going to give Pocock a bit of a run as he now goes deep into turn number 10, and he's able to make it hold and make it stick. And it looks like John Wilson now has got a little bit of work to do.
A little bit. He kind of got slowed up a little with having to take the outside of turn number 10 and didn't get the run that he wanted off the corner, so it opened up the gap a little bit. But as we're looking back at Michael Smo, chasing Jim Brewster and Deacon Greenfield for 6th position, they've fallen off the back a little bit of Megan Overstreet, and she's kind of the bridge in between the top from 2nd to 4th and 6th to 8th.
Yeah, and taking a look, so that last time by, Megan Overstreet running about 0.4 of a second faster than the fastest of that trio. The fastest being the well, I was just gonna say it was Reed Shanabrook was the fastest of that trio. Wow, that battle for second now in the T3 class goes through the bus stop, and nice little drift there, nice recovery from Pocock as he hung the rear end all the way out, and looks like, and actually I'm sorry, that was McRae who hung the rear end out, and Pocock taking advantage now he takes over 2nd position.
McRae gets the switchback, and they're going to go side by side down to the toe of the boot. We're going to see who's going to come out on top. Pocock deep on the brakes yet again. It seems like that is a strong suit for him, but Brian McRae is able to rim shot the corner, carry a lot more exit speed. We're going to see who John Wilson chooses to follow, and it looks like he's going to be pushing Caleb Pocock down the sole of the boot into the toe, or the heel, my bad. Pocock's going to come out on top. We're going to see if John Wilson's going to be able to follow him through, and it looks like they're all going to be single file on exit. Live to fight another day coming up into the bus stop yet again.
Ooh, and McRae trying to push Pocock wide through turn 9 at the entrance there, Doesn't seem to affect the red and white machine all that much. And as they carry through, I think John Wilson trying to figure out now how he gets back into a podium-paying position. As we jump back to our battle now for second in the Jettas in the T4 class with Trenton Kramer, Reed Shannabrook, who was at a great recovery. Oh, a little wiggle there from Trenton Kramer. Shannabrook, who's had a real good recovery after his lap one, not spin, but drift through the chute on the opening lap. But great little fight here with these three.
And like I said earlier, Reed Shannabrook's the one to watch. He's been quietly, consistently making gains on Trenton Kramer, and I think he's just going to hold right to that bumper as we're watching this trio fight for second and third and fourth. We're going to see some three-wide action into the bus stop. John Wilson looking to the inside. Caleb Pocock able to close it off, but Brian McRae is going to be right around the outside of the bus stop. Side by side, relinquishes his grip going onto the entrance, and Caleb Pocock is going to be living in second for another corner.
Yeah, at least for another corner. So that's the second lap in a row that we saw John Wilson trying to pick a horse. Should he get behind Pocock? Should he get behind McRae? Chooses very late, and frankly, it probably wouldn't have mattered. Now look at this, Morgan, because we've got now Megan Overstreet, who has joined this battle for second overall. She's been able, the last two laps, she's been running about a half second faster than the three drivers ahead of her. She's been showing very good pace. Again, remember, she started off there in the top three and got shuffled back, but she's now right in the thick of it, right on the bumper of Jacob Schilling's number 85 machine.
Yeah, all of this fighting from these, I wouldn't say top three, but second, third, and fourth in the VW Jetta category has been making Megan's job a lot easier, as we're seeing nose-to-tail action coming out of turn 9. It's Brian McRae is going to look up the inside of turn 10 on Caleb Pocock. Pocock gives him plenty of space. We're going to see three wide.
Maybe a little more, maybe enough for John Wilson to get underneath, but not quite enough. And
Emma, I think we're going to be three wide down the front straight. Caleb Pocock did not get a very good run out of the final corner. Brian McRae is able to clear him, as John Wilson side by side with the both of them now going into turn 1. You're going to see McRae is able to turn in, take the apex, get the run out of the corner. Pocock, is he going to push, or is he going to try and make a maneuver? I think he's going to sit in behind for now as they're coming up the S's. This is where the draft is most powerful.
And I was going to say, Morgan, probably a good thing for that draft, because Wilson entered the 90s so shallow. I can't imagine that he would have had a good drive coming out of the corner there, but probably had the advantage of McRae to kind of pull him along as they now go side by side into the bus stop, as we only have 2 minutes remaining on the clock. So probably this lap, one more lap to go. Our racers should get the white flag this next time by.
And it's just Caleb Pocock he's going to try and run around the outside going into the boots. I think he's going to be able to make that war. Oh, he goes a little bit deep, has to scrub the speed towards the middle of the corner, get on the brakes, and John Wilson keeps the spot for now. But I think coming up into the last lap, I'm going to want to be third in this pack and the Jetta pack for a second as well. Yeah, I want to be third. I want to be able to have a really strong draft, as Caleb Pocock is now going to be pushing John, saying, let's get back to Brian. We want to be there at the end. I don't want to have to fight with one. I want to have to fight with two. But it's Miles Crabb and Jameson Huffman. They have completely checked out from the rest of their fields in their respective classes. Miles Crabb up by 12 and a half seconds. He's been consistently running. Last lap, he was 2.5 seconds faster than Brian McRae. A lot of that is the fighting, but he has been so consistent. Look at that. That is a 9.186, 9.18888. That it does not get much more consistent than that.
Yeah, and you can see the breakdown there by lap, Morgan, over the last number of laps, as Miles Crabb does get the white flag. So we are working the last lap here at Watkins Glen for our touring cars, but to be able to pick up and add almost a second plus to your advantage each and every single lap. Pretty darn stupendous as we watch this battle now, as our Jettas are going to come out of the final corner for the second to last time. And we'll jump back to this battle. We've got two heavy battles going on right now for second in each of our classes. This, the battle for second in the T3 class, the GR86 Cup cars. We've got John Wilson to driver's right to the inside. He's got Brian McRae directly behind him. Caleb Pocock pounding over the curbs there, and Wilson goes wide, comes through the grass at the very last portion of the bus stop. That allows Pocock and McRae to get a little bit of clearance, and now Pocock, he's going to try that move again, going down deep on the inside, in through the chute, down through turn number 6, and heading down the hill to the heel of the boot. But for the moment, McRae's able to hold him off.
And we're checking back with the Jetta field. And listen, Jacob Schilling takes the cut through the last section of the bus stop. I think that probably will be a slowdown, I would imagine. But it seems Reed Shandabrook still leading this pack. Trenton Kramer, he's going to have a little bit of work to do. He's going to have to really focus on his run coming out of the toe of the boot up through the sole to see if he can try and get it done. Maybe Megan Overstreet can come with him, giving a little bit of extra push. But Miles Crabb, it has been a clinic tonight. 14.5 seconds. Another 2 seconds since we last saw him. He's coming through the final corner. Incredibly consistent, incredibly fast.
That's it. And coming down the front straight, putting on the weave, putting on the show. Miles Crabb, your winner in T3, as the battle for second now with just one more corner. It's Caleb Pocock in the 88 machine. And hitting the wall, both McRae and John Wilson, as Wilson ends up on the pit lane. Coming home in second is going to be Caleb Pocock. John Wilson will come home in third.
And it looks like McRae is going to tow on the back straight. I think it's going to relegate him to sixth. And we see Jamison Huffman coming across the line.
Yeah,
so it looks like an 11.5 second gap for him as well.
Wow. So John Wilson there will finish in third in the Toyotas. Mark Sherman will finish in fourth. And as you mentioned, Jamison Huffman takes the win in the Toyotas, finishing second. Megan Overstreet with Jacob Schilling in the ghost car. There he is, coming home on the last step of the podium, finishing in third. Trenton Kramer will finish just off the podium in fourth. Great runs there, and real surprising finish. Let's take a look. This is a little bit further back in the pack. This is Josh Justice and Joaquin Effinger as they cross the line. That nice little battle there at the end for ninth position, where Justice holds off Joaquin Effinger at the end. So it's Crabb, Pocock, Wilson, Sherman, Buttermore, your top 5 in the Toyotas. Brian McRae, unfortunately for him, does not cross the finish line. He ends up finishing 16th overall, 6th in the Toyotas, with Huffman, Overstreet, Schilling, Kramer, Greenfield, your top 5 in the TDI Cup cars. So let's take a look here, Morgan, and we've got some of our podium finishers. Unfortunately, we're only going to have time here after this first race to talk to our winners in each of the classes. Let's first move over to the driver of the number 89 Volkswagen Jetta, Jamison Huffman.
Do you want to get him, Greg, or should I?
Yeah, we'll take it here. Hey, Jamison, how you doing? Congratulations on your win.
Thanks. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing very well. All right, so a fairly easy run for you here tonight with an advantage of almost 12 seconds at the line. Obviously, a lot of mayhem going on behind you, even on the very first lap. But what did you do tonight to keep your focus?
I first was scared because I saw someone get turned into the wall exiting turn 1, and I was like, I pray that does not happen to me. And going too wide through the bus stop scared the ever-living hell out of me, but I'm glad that I ended up fine. There was no contact between us. But it was just keeping a level head, remembering that after the first lap, I'm going to have no more grip because the tires just walk off a cliff after that.
And so is that how you pretty much worked the race, was just kind of managing the tires and trying to just keep the car, keep the 89 machine between the blue walls?
Yeah, there's a few times where I almost clipped the inside wall coming into the bus stop, but it was just not overworking the tires. Sometimes it did ask a little bit too much for they ended up paying the consequences the next turn, missed the apex, just ran a little bit wide and lose time, but definitely a tire game here.
All right, so Jameson, I know we've got to get you over into qualifying for the Spec Racer Ford race. Who'd you like to thank for your win tonight?
I'd like to thank my parents and everybody at ASI for the support, and Morgan Burkhardt for commentating.
Oh,
and
you're
you too.
quite welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Jameson. All right, everybody, that's Jameson Huffman, your winner tonight in the T4 class, the Volkswagen TDI Cup cars. And so let's now, Morgan, if you want to take this one, we're going to move on to Miles Crabb. He was your overall winner, took the win in T3 in the Toyota GR86s.
Hello, Miles. Just a bit of I'm gonna say boring one, but you kind of walked away there. The margin of victory about 14 and a half, 15 seconds. What did you do to keep plugging away laps and be so consistent?
Well, we're about to find out if I can multitask and do an interview and qualify at the same time. I don't know. I really like Watkins Glen. I wish it would have been. I would say I wish it was a better race, but judging by the replay of the last lap I watched, second place was a pretty hard-fought battle too. So at least they put on the show. I don't know. I knew it was going to be interesting trying to overtake in practice when I realized that the bus stop was basically a lift and go in fifth gear. So once that's eliminated, there's just not a lot of places to pass without slowing yourself down. So I knew if I could get the lead and break the draft, I had a pretty good shot at it. I don't know where everybody is. Beans wasn't here. I see Morgan's in Discord. I don't know if he was announcing it with y'all or what. But
yeah, he's the one interviewing you, my friend.
Oh, I didn't. I don't ever talk to you, so I don't know your voice. It's all text messages. Sorry. So you should have come out and played in the 86s. They were fun. You basically braked at the 100 marker for every corner and then slid through the corner.
Well, it sounds like a good time to me. I might have to take you up on that offer next week.
Yeah, no, they're interesting cars to drive. That's for sure. I don't know how accurate they are, but it's definitely a ton of fun to wheel them around really good. Sonoma was a whole lot of fun.
And yeah, that's one of the driver's tracks for me. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you qualify. Is there anybody you'd like to say hello or thank you to before I let you go?
Yep. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. They should be watching, and I guess my grandma's watching too. So hi, Bobo. Yeah, let's see what happens in the Spec Racer Ford race. Should be a hell of a lot closer than the last race was. At least, well, hopefully it doesn't end like second place did with two cars taking the pit lane. But yeah, this will be fun.
All right, everybody, there you go. That's Miles Crabb takes the win tonight in T3 in the GR86s, driver of the number 131 car. Thanks so much, Miles, and good luck in qualifying. We'll see you in just a little bit in the Spec Racer Fords.
Thank y'all.
All right, so let's, Morgan, take a quick little break and thank some of our partners and sponsors and allow us to get set up and ready to go for race number 2, Spec Racer Fords tonight here on the Ray Esports Racing League on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back here at Watkins Glen International for week number 4 of the Ray Esports Racing League here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Morgan Burkhart. And after watching a very exciting touring car race, next up, we've got the Spec Racer Fords, and they are on track and about 10 minutes into their 15-minute qualifying. Right now, fastest driver on track, Skip Brock Jr. And Morgan, I think he had a little extra time to practice tonight after his early exit from the Jetta race, having only made it a corner and a half. But Skip Brock Jr. currently your provisional pole sitter with a qualifying time of 2:04.73. About a half second up on John Vogel. Good to see John back after a season here driving that Carrier air conditioning number 4 machine. Stevie Ray, the Ray in Ray Esports Racing, he's running tonight as well, driving the number 11 machine. He's on the pit lane right now, but currently your 3rd fastest driver. There's Stevie all by his lonesome on the pit lane. And Miles Crabb must have done a pretty good job of qualifying, Morgan, while talking to you, as he's currently sitting in 4th.
There you go. He can multitask. It's
yes.
Write that down on the resume there. But yeah, for sure, Skip Brock done in a pretty good lap to put it on the pole. And I've already gotten word from a certain driver of the number 89 Spec Racer Ford that he's going to be just kind of starting from the back with not a whole lot of practice. Or at least that's what he said. I don't know if I believe that.
All right, well,
he's out on track right now. But
we'll see there. Our T4 winner from race number 1. At least he's going to try to put in a time there. Doesn't have one in yet. Had an off track on his first flying lap, working lap number 2. Right now, as we're 12 minutes into qualifying, not a ton of time. Want to welcome Sam Rolfe back to the Ray Esports Racing League. It's been a couple of seasons since we saw him last. Currently sitting 14th in the field in that orange number 85 machine.
We got a couple new guys in the field here tonight, but one who's not so new, Josh Justice, is a real world Spec Racer Ford driver out in the Texas region. He is sitting 12th right now in the draft of. Oh, give me a number. I'll find it eventually.
That is the 51. That is one of our other new drivers, Corey Heffron. There is Justice drafts by, and Heffron's going to slot in behind him as they go down into the bus stop.
It's good to see. Oh, and as Justice gets a little bit crossed up going to the bus stop, that'll invalidate his lap for sure. But it's good to see some new faces in the Ray Esports Racing League tonight, and Corey Heffron doing a really good job qualifying 6th so far.
Yeah, right now 6th out of we have 16 drivers that have put in times, as you can see there on our timing pylon on the left-hand side of your screen, and a couple of drivers still not setting laps. Looks like Caleb Patry's just joined the server. We'll see how he does, and wow, looks like Josh Soto might be giving another run at the Spec Racer Fords here tonight, is looking to improve upon his finish at Mid-Ohio a couple weeks ago. Let's do this. Actually, let's take a quick look back. First off, at Spec Miata that they ran last week at Sonoma Raceway for their 2nd race of the season, and Mr. Burkhart did not take the win. He finished 2nd to Beans Forster. Or pardon me, I take that back. Actually, Morgan did take the win. Miles Crabb finished 2nd. Beans Forster finished 3rd at Sonoma. But if we take a look at the point standings now, and this is after 2 rounds, Beans Forster is currently your points leader with 44. Morgan 2nd with 42, just 2 points back, and then Miles Crabb and Megan Overstreet not all that far back off of the lead, certainly within shouting distance here, again with only 2 of 6 races run in Spec Miata. But let's take a look at the Spec Racer Fords that are drivers on track right now, and the class that we're looking at, where the last time they ran was at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and That was 2 weeks ago, and Morgan took the win in Spec Racer Ford with Josh Soto, as I just mentioned, joining us here tonight. Josh finishing second in the 07 machine, with Chris Montgomery starting fifth in the field, finishing third, taking that last step on the podium is Beans Forster, who started on the outside pole, finished back in fourth position. And if we take a look at the current point standings in Spec Racer Ford, looks like Morgan's given up a few more points here. He'd run the table coming into tonight. Morgan, it's got to be tough for you to to watch your race go by, as you've got the perfect 50 points. Josh Soto currently second in the standings, 12 points back with 38. Then Chris Montgomery, Skip Brock Jr., Megan Overstreet, your top five.
Let's just say I'm biting my fingernails off, Greg, looking at a few select people and seeing how they do tonight.
All right, I guess that'll determine whether or not you ask to fill in for Jack another week.
There you go. And as a commentator, I get to use the commentator's curse. So there's that.
Yes. So use it wisely.
Yeah.
And there you go. Checkered flag is in the air on this qualifying session. The 15-minute session is done. Last drivers setting flying laps here, like Corey Heffron, coming through the last two corners, looking to improve upon his sixth position qualifying time right now, looking to improve upon a 2:06.18 as he comes across the line. I guarantee you with that move there at the end, he's not going to do it there, as he turns in a blazing fast 2:14, almost 8 seconds off of his previous best time. Watching Andrew Wozencroft now in the number 80 machine, currently qualified 12th. The Spec Racer Ford driver in the Spec Miata driver in real life. Let's see if he can improve upon his previous best of a 2:07.06. He does not. Turns into 2:07.70 for his last lap. And here comes Skip Brock Jr. coming out of the final corner. He's already your provisional pole sitter. We'll see if he can improve upon that 2:04.73 as he comes down the front straight and across the line. Does he improve?
It does not.
No, he does not. Turns in a 2:09 and change, almost 5 seconds off his now pole setting time.
And this is an interesting thing to me. Is we're watching Megan Overstreet coming through turn 9 on her last flying lap. Hooks that up kind of pretty nicely.
We've got our drivers gridding up. Let's take a look at the starting order for tonight's final race of the night. Starting on pole with a qualifying time of 2:04.733, driving the number 68 machine, it's Skip Brock Jr. with John Vogel, 56 off of that pole time, starting second.
DD Ray for Ray Esports Racing is starting just about a 10th back from John Vogel in the third spot, followed even more closely, about 600s back, by Miles Crabb in the number 131 machine.
All right, then we've got Charles Vaccaro straight out of Texas in the number 221 machine. He starts fifth with Corey Heffron, again, new face here in the Ray Esports Racing League. He's going to start sixth.
Followed and again, really closely by Megan Overstreet in the 044, starting in the 7th spot, and Jim Brewster in the 933 in P8.
All right, and your fifth row tonight, starting ninth in the number 36 car, it is Deacon Greenfield with Caleb Pocock. I was going to say, looking to improve upon his finish in the GR86s. He's going to start 10th in the 88 car.
And Mark Sherman starting 11th place, followed closely 600s back by Andrew Rosencross, hailing from California.
There you go. And Josh Justice, he's going to start 13th tonight with Wayne Buttermore starting in 14th.
And we've got Sam Rolfe, another new face, starting in the 15th spot, followed by Joaquin Effinger in the 16th.
All right, and then as we get down towards the tail end of the field, Caleb Patry in the number 198 machine. He's going to start 17th with our Jetta TDI Cup winner from just a few moments ago, Jameson Huffman. He's going to start on the outside of row number 9, starts 18th.
And following up with the DNQs, did not qualify drivers, as we're seeing them have a little powwow towards the back of the grid there. But it is Joshua Soto and Trenton Kramer in 19th and 20th spot. Now, the interesting thing here, Greg, is 17, 18, 19th. I happen to know for a fact that two of them are talking to each other currently as we speak. That would be Caleb Patry and Jamison Huffman. So we're going to see, as they are on the grid, we're going to see what they can do starting from the back, see if they can make their way through the grid all the way up to Skip Brock Jr. and John Vogel.
Yeah, and seeing that they've got Josh Soto, who's done very well this season in Spec Racer Fords as well, is primarily known as a Spec Miata specialist, is I think really upped his game recently in the Spec Racer Fords. We'll see how he does back there, and maybe the three, or if you include Trenton Kramer, maybe the four of them all get together and just try and freight train the field. But as we've got the pace car now making its way down the short chute towards the inner loop, towards the bus stop, let's talk about our sponsor for tonight's second race of the evening, and that is Spec Racer Sports. And their mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing. And Spec Racer Sports delivers by providing the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair, competitive price, all with exceptional customer support. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch, Houston, Spec Racer Sports offers exceptionally prepared Spec Racer Fords for rental and for sale, for storage and for support. And they also offer driver coaching and technical services such as chassis dyno work and fabrication. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, visit www.specracersports.com. Without the extra 6 W's, that is.
www.
I was just trying to stretch this out to the end of the pace lap, that's all.
There you go. And it's a 65-mile-an-hour pace lap. It's going to take at least 4 minutes.
Yeah, well, I was thinking it was mid-Ohio. All right, as we've got the pace car bringing our front row, our pole sitter, Skip Brock Jr. and John Vogel now down the heel of the boot. Love that camera angle, how it just kind of pulls away, and you can kind of see the elevation change there as they drop down here into turn 8. And you know, I'll tell you, Morgan, this right here, the heel of the boot, is one of those corners when I'm racing at the Glen that is actually one of my favorite corners, because probably more than any of the corners, with the exception of the 90, with the exception of turn 1, the camber just really sucks you into it when you hit it right. You know, it's not the fastest corner here, but it feels fast. All right, so the pace car now bringing our racers through turn number 10. And they're starting to get fully gridded up here.
Yep, starting to get nice and tightly packed. You're going to see Skip Brock is going to be in control of the field any minute now, as we're going to see the pace car make that sharp entrance into pit lane.
All right, and so Skip Brock Jr. now has the field as they're making their way down towards the finish line, and green flag is in the air, and jumping out to driver's left almost immediately, the 131 of Miles Crabb, Corey Heffron, as well as we've got John Vogel and Skip Brock Jr. side by side coming through the 90, heading up towards turn 2 in the uphill S's here. And Miles Crabb, it looked like he was going to try to go all the way around all of them on the outside, and that long distance there just didn't work out well for him. And he's now got Stevie Ray directly beside him as we're 3 wide, almost trying to make it 5 wide coming out of the S's going down to the bus stop. Let's take a look here to the inside. It's Skip Brock Jr. with John Vogel, and slightly ahead to the outside it is Miles Crabb. Crabb now coming across the inside, but look at that move by Skip Brock Jr. as he just carries speed through the bus stop, Morgan.
Yeah, watching that coming up the hill 3 wide, there's no way that it was going to work, but they seem to have all made it through with minus a couple cars. And now Jamison Huffman got left at the beginning of the bus stop. Trenton Kramer as well on the outer loop, was actually fed back to the pits. But we're still double file, trying to sort it out, go single file. Skip Brock Jr. has been able to get about a 3-car length advantage over Miles Crabb as we're coming into the boots. Still side by side back here, Deacon Greenfield with Caleb Pocock. At least 2 rows of side-by-side. We're still side-by-side. Wozy, yeah, they're going to try and give the bump. And, yeah, now we're starting to sort it out, starting to figure it out. Caleb Patry and Josh Soto side-by-side into in the corner we were talking about on the pace lab, Greg. As,
Yeah, into turn number 8 there, and I knew, I know I said, oh, I'll watch Soto along with Patry as well. I just didn't expect them to do 3/4 of the first lap side by side through there, but they've both made up a number of positions, as Soto currently sitting 13th, Patry now 12th, having made up 6 and 5 positions respectively. But now Miles Crabbe, John Vogel, and well, just about the entire rest of the field as well. Stevie Ray, Megan Overstreet as well, catch back up to Skip Brock Jr. And deep on the brakes going into the 90, Miles Crabbe takes over the lead, moving Skip Brock Jr. back into second. And then you've got Vogel and Stevie Ray, a little bit of a breakaway there after they came out of the first corner, with Megan Overstreet about 5 car lengths back in 5th position.
It looks like Stevie Ray is going to be popping out. He's going to try and go solo around John Vogel, maybe even get a run on Skip Brock Jr. coming up the hill into the bus stop. He's actually gone to the lead. He's gone from 4th to 1st, all the way to the lead. The draft is incredible.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does that tell you about the strength of the draft there, that you can carry, as the 4th car in line, go up the hill through the S's and have enough to slingshot past 3 cars that are all in a row, as Stevie Ray runs wide coming out of turn number 6 and heading down the hill towards the toe of the boot over at turn number 7. He's going to have to now defend from the inside, as Miles Crabbe's going to try and go around the outside. But going around the outside there, Morgan, it's somewhat tough. There's not a ton of grip, and more importantly, it's a very wide corner there. You end up running a lot longer distance if you're all the way to the outside, driver's left like that.
Exactly. You can carry a little bit more speed, but it doesn't necessarily help you, as you're still sorting it out back here. But Skip Brock Jr. is going to be able to pass Miles Crabbe, and we're almost 3 wide coming out of turn 8 into turn 9. Deacon Greenfield on the inside of Joshua Soto, followed by Pocock, and I think that's Charles Zacaro. And back to the lead, Skip Brock Jr. is going to go on the move for Stevie Ray, sending Ray back to 2nd place. Skip Brock Jr. takes over the lead, as this is still a healthy 8-car train for the win. The draft has kept everybody here. The fighting has kept everybody compressed. It's a little bit of a gap back to Deacon Greenfield, but they're still in the draft as well. So we're going to see, are they going to try and go 2, 3, 4 wide coming up the hill, as we're seeing Corey Heffron go up the inside. Corey Heffron up the inside. That's not Caleb Patry. I'm
Jim Brewster's Jim
Yes.
Brewster in that orange 933 directly ahead, and then you've got Caleb Patry in the 198. Ooh, Patry for a moment there, I think, started to think about going drivers right inside of Jim Brewster, and Brewster came all the way over to the white line to cover. But speaking of this, here we go 3 wide once again into the bus stop, and big brake lock up from Stevie Ray, who was sitting in 4th position. Megan Overstreet now, who started back in 7th position. She now moves up to the lead in that purple and pink number 044 machine. Skip Brock Jr. sitting in 2nd with Miles Crabbe 3rd. And didn't Miles say he hates this track during your interview earlier?
He loathes it. He's not his favorite.
Yeah, definitely not. As John Vogel, who started off on the front row, now sits back in 5th position, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that, the way these drivers are all swapping positions at the moment.
And it looks like Skip Brock is very keen on leading this race, as he's trying to go up the inside of Megan Overstreet coming into turn 8. Overstreet's going to fight it around the outside. She's going to be able to carry the line, carry the momentum, and she's going to have the preferred line coming up the hill into turn 9. Skip Brock Jr. kind of rolls over, lets Megan have it. Maybe gonna try and fight her coming up the hill. Gets a little bit stopped up on the exit. You see Miles Crabbe side by side, gonna try and throw it around the outside of turn 10. Skip Brock Jr. takes the inside, takes the spot back. Now they're gonna get in line, probably try and close this gap down to Megan Overstreet. And I think we're gonna see another 2-3 wide event coming up the hill into the bus stop yet again.
Yeah, and given the advantage that Overstreet has right now, which is maybe just a touch over 1 car length, that's going to be gone about halfway up the S's, if it's not gone by the time they go into turn 1, as Caleb Patry now moving to the inside underneath, or probably that was Josh Soto trying to come underneath Andrew Wozencroft. Soto running very, very wide, definitely picking up an incident point there, but he now moves up in the 9th position, a net pickup of 10. And I was going to say with Megan Overstreet, she's still trying to come to grips with some of the tin top cars, like the Jetto, like the Miata, but she has been running the open wheel cars and the Spec Racer Fords for a number of years, and a stalwart in the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford League every Sunday here on Apex Racing TV, as she now slots into 3rd behind Miles Crabb, who takes over the lead, and Skip Brock Jr. And for the moment, a small advantage over the number 4 of John Vogel, Stevie Ray. And Corey Heffron, he's still hanging tight there in 6th, still part of this lead pack, as Caleb Patry, who's also now made up 10 positions, he's looking to try and make a move on the 51 machine as they go into the toe of the boot.
This is amazing to watch. 3 wide into the bus stop every single lap, and Caleb Patry, the current fastest lap the race holder, is going to try and go around the outside. This is the preferred line through turn 8 for most. I think he's going to be able to get the job done. Still side by side as they're going to climb the hill into turn 9, and I think that's going to be 11 spots gained for Caleb Patry as they slot back in line. And next on the docket is going to be Stevie Ray. We're going to see how Caleb plays this one.
That's right, and so Caleb had the advantage of being able to use the draft off of Stevie Ray while Heffron was there, pushed over a little bit, driver's right, and didn't really have any kind of pull. And so Patry, bright move there, now moves up into 6th position after having started back in, now falling back in the 7th, but having started 17th here, as it still looks to be now, especially Stevie Ray is going to go side by side, and Ray with the rear end stepping out on him. Does he collect Jim Brewster? No, he does not, but Stevie Ray, who for a short period of time had led this race, bounces off the Armco. He's now going to fall all the way back to 16th position, and that's going to open things up a little bit more for our top 4 cars, as Skip Brock Jr., Megan Overstreet, Miles Crabb, and John Vogel have a bit of a breakaway now, Morgan. So instead of being 11 or so cars here all fighting it out, at least for the time being, as we're just about halfway through this race, down to 4 at the front, as Jim Brewster now goes off at the inner loop.
In these cars, especially the inner loop, it actually does, the curbs do stuff to these cars. So I'm thinking that's just, it collected the curb just the wrong way, upset the car, and it just exited stage right. But with Stevie Ray's spin at turn 1, I saw him clatter the wall a little bit coming out of the final corner. So I think it was a suspension-related damage. Charles Vaccaro is going to send one up the end. A little bit of contact between Vaccaro and Pocock, both sent spinning off the outside of the toe of the boots. I think they're both going to be able to continue. But back to the lead, it's Skip Brock Jr., followed closely by Overstreet, Crabb, and Vogel. And if I'm one of these 4 cars, I'm not at all going to be sad that it is now only a 4-car train instead of 7.
No. No, finally, maybe a little bit of time to breathe. Now, here's a big surprise, Morgan, as Caleb Patry, I believe, in the 198 machine, had an incident. He now finds himself on the pit lane. So after having worked his way up into, I believe, 6th position, Caleb Patry's race essentially is now done.
And
here, tell you what, and I think we've got a replay queued up here. We'll see exactly what happened as we see Patry, and I think that is the 07 of Josh Soto, as they come out of the toe of the boot, and Patrick coming to a dead stop. Maybe some equipment issues.
Well, he did follow Stevie into the wall at the final corner the lap earlier,
Okay.
so I'm wondering if there could have been some suspension damage, maybe some aero damage, and he just did not see the point in continuing. I would wager a bet that that's exactly what happened. I saw a little bit of a wrinkle on the front left, but I have no way of knowing how bad the damage was.
All right, and here we go. Megan Overstreet moving to driver's left. Miles Crabb moving further to driver's left as they come down into the bus stop. And Overstreet, for the moment, going to retake the lead, and moving Skiprock back to second, Miles Crab third, and then John Vogel. And Morgan, interesting, after having watched the two very softly sprung touring cars in the previous race and how they kind of soaked up those curbs at the bus stop, to see how they really toss and turn the Spec Racer Fords around that, as you mentioned, much more stiffly sprung, but also with very limited ride height there, as the flat bottoms of these cars are maybe an inch, 2 inches off the ground.
Exactly, and it's a good thing these cars are not real, because taking the curbs like they do in the virtual world over especially the bus stop, it tends to put real big gashes in the floorboards of the Spec Racers. But in the sim, we don't have that luxury. We're able to just straight line things and clatter the curbs and really kind of just beat up the car, as this top four seeming inseparable. And an interesting note about Skip Rock Jr., I had the pleasure of watching him in the real world at VIR just under a month ago, battling with actually last year's Sports Car Club of America national champion Nick Bruni in Spec Miata. I watched him race with Rob Hines and Nick Bruni. Actually beat them, and I think that was on Saturday. He beat them both.
Yes.
So he is very used to following nose to tail. He's used to these kind of spec categories. It's not quite the same handling car, but a lot of the tendencies, a lot of the strategy is the same. So he's talented. He's got the know-how to get this done, and he's obviously very comfortable with following super close to corners.
Sure, absolutely. And wouldn't discount John Vogel there, sitting that Carrier air conditioning black number 4 machine, currently sitting fourth, right behind Overstreet as they come out of the S's on the inside lane there, as Vogel, a real life Spec Racer Ford racer, and has had numerous wins and numerous podiums in majors racing in the club racing world. He's currently sitting fourth. As we jump now back just out of that top four, this is the battle for fifth, as we've got Deacon Greenfield, who's running a pretty stellar drive here. Started in 9th position, now finds himself in 6th, and doing whatever he can to hold off the 07 machine to Josh Soto.
Doing whatever he can to hold off the hard charger of this race, up 12 spots, and Deacon is doing a wonderful job at holding him at bay. He's been just kind of holding steady, clicking off the good laps, and they're actually kind of gaining on 5th place runner Corey Heffron.
Yeah, and Heffron is there all by himself, doesn't have anybody to draft with, and kind of a sitting duck if Greenfield and Soto just hold off on the fight right now for 6th, and actually work towards moving up towards 5th position, and Corey Heffron there all by himself.
Exactly, and he's in no man's land. It's hard to stay motivated that way. It's hard to stay consistent when you're kind of just all alone. There's not really anybody around you, and he's far enough back from this lead pack that he's not really going to be able to see them other than in straights, and even then they're going to be really small specs. So he's kind of really able to see Deacon and Josh in the mirror, and I think that's exactly what Josh is doing. He's going to be pushing Deacon to try and maybe up his odds of a top 5 instead of just duking it out for 6th.
All right, as our leaders come into the 90, just as we hit the 3/4 mark, 5 minutes remaining here at Watkins Glen International, and our Spec Racer Ford race is got Andrew Wozencroft and Josh Justice now out on track. And I think, as we mentioned, Josh Justice running a Spec Racer Ford in real life out of I believe near Dallas, Texas. Andrew Wozencroft, a Spec Miata racer out of Northern California. But let's jump back to this battle again still, and you can see here, yeah, Soto with all the opportunity in the world there to move to the inside and maybe try to leave Deacon Greenfield behind, and he doesn't take it. He instead chooses to push to see if the two of them can get up to the number 51 machine. They are currently about 2.4 seconds back from the 51.
And I think they look like they're starting to close in a little bit. Their last lap, actually, making
About
things
a
up.
tenth.
They're about a tenth faster. So it's slow. Oh, Josh Justice is he's gonna try and go to the lead here, this little battle, and gets it done. Deacon didn't really fight that. I think he saw discretion was the better part of valor. He's gonna let Josh go through, and they're gonna try and draft back up to Corey Heffron.
Yeah,
But
and I think there were a couple of different corners coming down through the chute, going into the boot, and also in the final corner, turn 11. It appeared as though Soto was really over braking to keep from going into the back of into the back of Greenfield. So probably better that they swap positions. This might actually give Soto. I think Soto probably thinks he can get up to Heffron even without the draft. As we jump back over to our leaders, Skip Rock Jr., our pole sitter tonight, currently leads the horde here. Miles Crabb, our winner from one of our winners from race 1, sitting second in the number 131 machine, that black and red machine. John Vogel moves up to third, so shift Megan Overstreet now back in the fourth. But with just about 3 minutes remaining, probably this and maybe probably 2 laps to go, should be plenty of time here. We may see this shuffle around maybe 2 more times before we get to the checkered flag.
that we might see it shuffle around a lot more as they're coming 3 wide again on the penultimate lap coming into the bus stop. And Megan Overstreet's going to go to the lead, followed by Skip, and they'll come single file through Overstreet, Brock, Crabb, and then followed up by John Vogel. And this is really where the strategy piece comes into play. Where do you want to be with how powerful this draft is? We saw it earlier on with Stevie Ray going from 4th to 1st before the bus stop. You really got to play this right, because you know that they're going to go spreading out 3 or maybe even 4 wide. So you got to pick which lane do you want to be in, which spot do I think I will have the best opportunity to be in. And Skip obviously think that is the lead, as he's going to go going into the bus stop.
Well, I was going to say, when Brock made that move going into the toe of the boot, if I were Overstreet, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's best to let Brock move ahead, because otherwise she's got to figure out how to defend against 3 other cars possibly going into the bus stop on the last lap. At least now, she can use the draft at least somewhat, and maybe take over a position from Skip Rock Jr. Of course, she's still going to have to worry about how to hold off Crabb and Vogel directly behind her.
Exactly. And as we're seeing, Skip Rock, he did get a really good run off the corner. He's able to gap them just a little bit, but Miles Crabb is going to be pushing Overstreet all the way up to him. John Vogel, he's going to open this up, try and maximize his run, maximize when he's going to hit this run. Overstreet to the left. Miles Crabb's going to be pushing Skip Rock. Vogel's going to...
As Crabb impacts Skip Brock Jr., Brock Jr. runs into the wall. Driver's left, comes across, taps Megan Overstreet. Overstreet's able to continue. Looks like Miles Crabb's got terminal damage there, but that moves Overstreet into the lead. She's got about a 5-car length advantage on the very last lap with white flag in the air. John Vogel moves up into second now with Skip Brock Jr. a distant third. And, Morgan, I'm not exactly sure how Overstreet managed to keep the car on course, because it looked like she got a pretty stout hit when Skip Brock Jr. came across.
It does, and I think this is not over yet, as John Vogel has been able to close up 4/10 in the last 2 laps, or 2 corners, my bad. He's got a good enough run. I don't think he's going to be close enough unless he launches one up the inside, which I think he's going to be trying to do. Here he goes, side by side into... Oh, they make contact at the apex. John Vogel and Megan Overstreet both go around. Skip Brock is promoted
now
back
moves
to the lead.
back to the lead in a heavily damaged car, as now we've got Vogel. And look at this, Corey Heffron, who had been sitting in 5th. He is now looking for... he's got designs on 2nd position as he's side by side with John Vogel as they come into turn number 10, and Vogel's able to push the car down under, but coming around and taking the win in Spec Racer Ford, where I don't think he ever expected to be just 1/2 lap ago. Skip Brock Jr. is your winner. John Vogel, he's going to come home in 2nd. Corey Heffron will come home in third, with Deacon Greenfield beating Megan Overstreet to the line. Megan Overstreet, who had been fighting it out for the win with just 4 corners remaining, she finds herself in 5th, with Miles Crabb limping across in 6th. Josh Justice will finish 7th. Andrew Wozencroft 8th. Stevie Ray recovering from that wild off there at turn 1 early on. He will come home in 9th, and Jim Brewster will round out your top 10.
That was an absolutely cataclysmic race.
I'm sure Megan Overstreet thinks it was cataclysmic, because I mean she tried to give John Vogel space there coming into the heel of the boot, and that is one of those corners, Morgan, where if you can't very easily make that 90-degree turn and just like rim shot around with that apex curbing all the way, and you kind of saw it coming when Vogel went down to the inside, that was probably going to be the outcome.
Yeah, and with the incident we saw coming up the climbing S's, I think it's a product of it's the last lap. I want to push this guy farther in front. I don't want to have to lift as much as I normally would. You're going to take a little bit more risks, and it being a corner, the car is not ever so slightly straight. If the bump draft, I think it loosened up Skip Brock. They all did a really good job of hanging onto it and not pinballing through the walls, which is very easy to do there.
Yes, I mean I've been at the Glen in real life for races there that have had, well, actually 14 Spec Racer Fords all collected in one incident there. It's not hard to do when the walls there are closer than they are at any other place on the track. Only about a foot to 2 feet off the side of the track, and you just bounce off and move right across the path of so many other cars. As we are waiting here for a few drivers to show up, hopefully in our green room. But again, congratulations to Skip Brock Jr. He takes the win in Spec Race 4 with John Vogel and Corey Heffron rounding out your podium. And you know what, Morgan? Normally at this point we go to some of our podium finishers, but we've got Stevie Ray from Ray Esports Racing sitting in the interview room. Why don't we bring Stevie in? Stevie Ray from Ray Esports Racing. Challenging race for you tonight after being in the lead.
Yeah, it was. It's what it is. It was a lot of fun while I was up there. It's not surprising I didn't have a whole lot of practice, but it was just fun to be here for a change and race with these guys. It's an honor to race with these guys when I get a chance.
Yeah, it was a tight race up at the front there with, I think, for about almost a good half of the race, almost 11 cars, all in the battle there. Stevie, as we're now on week 4, this 9-week season, I know that you've got some special events coming up in other parts of the Ray Esports family, some that relate to Spec Racer Fords as well. Why don't you tell everybody about them?
Yeah, the Weekend Warriors and Ray Esports on week 13 of the iRacing season, the fun week. We have a customary V runoffs big grid race, and this time it's in 2 weeks. It's going to be here at Watkins Glen. We're using the Spec Racer Ford in the Formula Ford 1600, the Ray Formula Ford.
Ray Formula Ford,
yes. Yeah, so this is something like the 32nd or 35th time we've done this on week 13, so it's a long, ongoing tradition, a lot of fun, just for fun. It's we get people from all different groups of iRacing come in and race with us and get introduced to the Spec Racer or the Formula car we choose or whoever, and more friends are made, and that's what it's all about, having fun on week 13 and blow off some steam and get ready for the new season.
Very, very cool. All right, so Stevie, let's do this. We're going to move on to our top 2 finishers here tonight. But any closing thoughts before we close things out with you?
Yeah, just the main thing I wanted to pop in and thank everybody that supports the leagues. It's I set it up, I get the honor of doing that, and but it's the guys that come out every week and race. It's our sponsors that make the broadcast possible. You guys for being there every week to call all the action. So just wanted to let everybody know I really appreciate the support. The league appreciates it, and we just keep on trucking down the road.
Very cool, everybody. There you go. Driver number 11, Spec Racer Ford, the Ray in Ray Esports Racing, Stevie Ray. Thanks so much for joining us, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so let's move on now, Morgan. And if you'd like to talk to Mr. Vogel, John Vogel, he finishes 2nd tonight in Spec Racer Fords.
Hey guys.
Hi, John. That was an amazing race between the 4 of you. Walk me through your strategy through coming into the final few laps.
Well, I was just waiting for the impending crash that never happened. You know, I was fairly certain at one point or another there was going to be coming together in the chicane, and there wasn't. And so, I mean, you know, I actually was kind of caught off guard a bit by the last lap on the timing on that, and I thought, well, heck, I'd have rather been in 2nd or 3rd, but just try to push through and go for it. And then there was the crash, and then Megan went a little wide in 6th, which gave me a chance, and I don't know. Got a little tight in 8th, and that was the race.
Well, regardless of how it finished, I'm honored to be able to call that. It was so much fun to watch, but
That's great.
So close the entire way. And towards the beginning, I saw it was never really a typical Spec Racer Ford race where it's the top few are kind of bump drafting, making sure that we break away from the back of the pack. Were you trying to were you one of the ones that were trying to work, or were you more of the let's start duking this out now kind of mindset?
I might have been the only person in the top 4 that was trying to work on a little breakaway. In fact, when Stevie, whatever happened in turn 1, I guess I'll have to watch a replay, but we had a little gap there, and I called out to the leaders. I said, we've got a little gap, tail up, but it was just go for it from beginning to end. So I suppose it's more entertaining that way, but yeah, everybody was just going for it.
Well, it definitely makes it an entertaining race to watch for sure. But before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to say thank you to?
Carrier Air Conditioning for sponsoring our real stuff. You guys for calling the broadcast. Stevie Ray for putting it all on. And one last thing, Morgan, congrats on that VIR victory, dude, in Spec Racer. That was awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of course. All right, guys. Well, thanks.
There you go, John. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight, and congratulations on your podium. And there you go, from one Spec Racer to another. Great thing there. All right, so let's bring in now our winner tonight in the Spec Racer Fords, and I'm sure when there was about a half lap left, he never thought he'd be there. Skip Rock Jr.
Hey, that was a really fun race. That's got to be one of my most fun sim races I've ever had. That's why I love Watkins Glen. It just produces that kind of action.
Oh, I thought Morgan was going to get it. All right, so yeah, absolutely. I mean, the obviously the power of the draft there, and you and Miles in what I thought was going to be, and I think what Morgan thought was going to be absolutely cataclysmic on the very last lap.
Yeah.
And somehow you managed to pull it out. I think you and Megan got together there on the front straight after you got tapped by Miles, and somehow both of you kept the wheels going forward there. What were you thinking, and what do you think your chances were there as things were winding down?
What I was thinking at the time is not appropriate for Apex Racing, I think. But after it happened, I was just glad that I gathered it up. In the SRF, it's kind of hard to save sometimes. It gets into a tank slapper really easily, but if you just kind of let it do what it wants to do, it'll sort itself out. And so I was really glad just to not have damage and not get caught by the people behind. And then when I saw them starting to fight up there, I thought, there's always a chance. It wouldn't be the first time that I've stole a win away from people way ahead, and yeah, that's what happened.
Well, it was a great fight there, and congratulations on the win. Anybody you'd like to thank tonight, Skip?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, my dad, I think he's watching right now. I think my mom's watching too. They love tuning into these races. And let's see, OPM Autosports, who I rent my Miata from in real life. And yeah, all the people who've supported my real life racing, and all the people who've had fun with me in the sim world too. But yeah, that was just a really fun race. The drafting strategies and stuff was just excellent.
Yeah, it was an amazing race to watch, and I think you and John and Megan and Mr. Crab put on a heck of a show there for at least 11 and a half or about 10 and a half.
It was a pretty good show after that too.
Yes, it certainly was. All right, so Skip Brock Jr. I don't even know my name anymore. Skip Brock Jr., congratulations on your win tonight in Spec Race Ford, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Summit Point Raceway.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
All right, there you go, Skip Brock Jr. So, Morgan, let's get ready to wrap things up. And now that I just gave away the script, next week, next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. I forgot we've got a new start time. 8:30 p.m. next Tuesday night, we are going to be at Summit Point Raceway, your home track, my home track. We're going to have the Spec Racer Fords once again. They're going to lead off the evening, and then we're going to have the Spec Miatas round out the night. And whether you're on track or whether you're here in the booth with me, certainly I'd be happy to have you again. But Morgan, it's been a wonderful time having you here on the broadcast tonight.
Oh, it's been a wonderful time calling, and I'm going to use cataclysmic again because I like that word. But yeah, no, cataclysmic races. They were beautiful to watch, and I'm glad. Thank you to all the drivers who showed up tonight for putting on such a great show for us.
All right, so for Morgan Burkhardt, for Lee Thompson sitting behind the scenes, putting up with both Morgan's and my shenanigans tonight and pushing all the buttons and giving you the great views that Apex Racing TV is known for, I'm Greg Ginsberg, and we'll see you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time from beautiful Summit Point Raceway in Summit Point, West Virginia. Have a great week, everybody.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.